Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, and this is your number one non-boring source for personal development. Today, on the line, we have Richard McCann. He is the Sunday Times number one best-selling author, professional, and motivational speaker. And for those of you Americans who don't know what the Sunday Times is, it's the UK top paper. It's like the New York Times. He's the author of the book, Just a Boy, that sold 500,000 copies. The sequel to that is The Boy Grows Up. And he's got another book coming out in October. It is the book, I Can. You can learn more about Richard at richardmccann.co.uk. And Richard has an amazing story. No one ever said that life would be easy, and Richard McCann knows a thing or two about adversity. On a cold and misty morning in October 1975, Richard, aged 5, woke up to discover that his mother was gone. She was the first victim of the notorious Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe. His first reaction at such an early age was to think about how he could improve his situation. He couldn't bring his mother back, but he could decide how to look differently at what life had thrown at him. The series of steps that took Richard from where he was at a frightened 5-year-old to the powerful and inspirational speaker he is today are what makes his seminars and workshops such powerful tools for change. Richard, thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential Show.
A real pleasure, and thank you for that wonderful introduction there, James.
Richard, I can't imagine being in that situation. I know how close I am with my mom, and if she was gone and gone in those circumstances, it's so hard to know how you would deal with it. So the first question that comes up is, what do you think allowed you to turn this into a empowering situation? Because ultimately it led you to become the person that you are. What was that shift for you?
I think what the shift was, I couldn't do anything about the situation. I couldn't bring her back, and I was absolutely devastated. I couldn't go anywhere with that information that mum had been taken, murdered in that way. And the only way that my kind of spirit, I suppose, was able to find something positive out of the whole situation was to say that it happened for a reason, that it was meant to be, and that it was going to give me a better life. And this is like, I'm 6, actually turned 6 whilst in the children's home, and thinking in that way just made it a little bit easier to cope with. And I think that ability, which we've all got, to apply whatever meaning I want to a situation has been with me ever since. And I've needed it on numerous occasions, and it's served me well, and it has made me the person I am today.
So the first step really is recognizing that you don't have control over the situation, and you have no control over the past. It is what it is. It's happened. Yeah. And now what can I do about it that's positive? Because it's very easy to do something about it that's negative. But when you have a choice between positive and negative, one that's going to lead to better experiences and one that's going to lead to worse experiences, when you actually put it out there like that, it's a lot easier, not necessarily easy in terms of effort, but easier in terms of making the choice, even if it's harder, to do something that's positive with it.
It is. Let's not forget, as a 6-year-old boy, I couldn't actually do anything about it back then. So the only thing I could do was to think about it differently. And that was quite easy, because that doesn't require much effort. And in fact, it was almost like a survival thing. What took place was horrible, so I either accept it was horrible and go on a negative downward spiral, or what can I do? What can I do? Well, the only thing that my young 6-year-old mind came up with was think that it happened for a reason, and that was quite easy to do. And I say that now. It's not. I'm not saying to. I don't say when I share my story from the stage and in my books. I'm not saying when some tragedy happens to. It's quite simple. Just think positively. You'll be okay.
Yeah. No. The process is simple, but to get there is not simple.
No, and it's not. It has been very difficult, I have to say. And even if I did think of it in a positive way, although I did not know about positive thinking back then, I have to say that there have been times throughout my life that, I've gone off the straight and narrow, and I have reached some very low points in my life. And so it's thinking in one particular certain point doesn't mean to say it's always going to be that way. It's been a very bumpy ride.
Yeah.
As it has.
Well, and starting out with that kind of experience, obviously, I think either makes it easier to weather other challenges, because it's pretty intense. Or it can add to it, like, why me? Why is all of this happening? So you can go either way with it. Again, it's that choice between the positive thinking or the negative thinking. So let me understand, Richard, around this time that it happened, did you have a father around? What was your living situation like? What changed after your mother was gone?
Well, I mean, before Mum even died, things were pretty tough. I came from a very social housing, we call it a council estate over here, a very deprived upbringing. Social services, the social services were at the house all the time, checking up on Mum and Dad, because they weren't doing a very good job of bringing us up. We were considered at risk, so we were very poor. Lots of deprivation and drink and alcohol and violence. All that was going on. In fact, just going one step backwards here, before Mum even died, even as a 5-year-old boy, I always knew that if I did something and took some action, I could improve my situation. I remember we had no money, but I'd go to the shop for the next door neighbour, the elder lady next door, and she'd give me a few pence for going. And that was an example of me looking at my negative situation and just looking for, like, what can I do to improve this? And, for that example, I'd go to the shop for her. So that was the family life. Dad had actually left by the time Mum died, and there was a number of boyfriends, one of which gave me and my elder sister Sonia drugs as kids, and I used to, I was hallucinating one night. He was abusing my sister, so very nice place. And then when Mum died, I mean, what I actually said to myself was, things were so bad that God stepped in to take Mum away from all that chaos. That's what I told myself, and even if I did think in that way, it didn't quite turn out to be the positive life I was hoping for with my father, because we were placed back with him after Mum died for a number of months in the children's home, and he was a very brutal man, especially when he'd been drinking. He used to drink whiskey out of the bottle off the mantelpiece, and he killed the dog. He drowned the dog in the bath, and he used to beat us. He would beat us with a stick, black and blue. I mean, this was a very brutal man. So before Mum died, then we had Mum dying, and then we were placed with this estranged, violent father. I was in a pretty negative place as a child, and the way that I saw myself, fitting into society or not fitting in, wasn't a healthy place for a young child.
Richard, no doubt it's not a healthy place for anybody, and it makes you wonder, especially when you weren't raised in that environment. I mean, there's many people that are listening or watching this right now, and it's hard to comprehend what it's like to be in those kind of traumatic circumstances, literally almost all the time as a young child, being abused, watching your family members get abused, watching your mom and dad get killed. I mean, just try to really put yourself in that place, and it's just hard to do, because if we grew up in an environment that was at least somewhat safe and comfortable, and we might have had arguments with our parents or something, it's like, it's very hard to imagine that. And then it's even harder to imagine how you go through that environment, that non-supportive, non-loving kind of environment, or not, I shouldn't say non-loving, but lacking the kind of loving base that most children need to grow up and be healthy individuals and support and contribute to society. What do you think makes you so unique in the sense that rather than be destructive, and not that you didn't ever have your low points in life, but what made you shift? Was it just the decision to be a positive thinker and to look at things positively? Was there one particular spark in your life that inspired you to be a good person and to find ways to contribute with what you have? What was it for you that made the difference?
I mean, there were a number of things. I think because I came from a very deprived background, and because of what happened to me, I think it gave me a bit of a conscience. So I was always on the lookout for the underdog, the one that was being bullied. So, and I think because I had that kind of empathy for them, that's put me in good stead throughout my life. And even when I was going through those negative experiences and being bullied at school and all the rest of it, there was always this it's the understanding that I had that all this stuff was happening for a particular reason. Listen, I can remember laying in bed when I was 8 years old, 9 maybe, when all this was going on around me, and telling myself, I've been sent to bed by my father, don't worry, because when you're older, you'll be able to help people with your experiences. You're meant to be going through this. I had no idea about writing books, speakers, and I didn't know anything about that.
Did you say your father said that to you?
No, I said that to myself.
Oh, you said that to yourself. So you always had this positive expectation
Yeah.
that you were going to help. See, that's so interesting. That seed is either imprinted somewhere in your thoughts or beyond that young life. You know, I do believe there's a certain amount of soul impression on us. The seed that gets planted before we get here.
I can relate to that, because I mean that's kind of what's been taking place. I believe, unbeknownst to me, I'd lay in bed thinking that what was going through was far beyond this life, and it was coming from somewhere else. There's some kind of something steering me through this, and you know, as a 41-year-old man, I honestly believe that that's what's happened here. I chose this life.
It honestly, it gives me chills, because I just feel that there is that going on. And usually when I get chills, it's kind of like a resonance, like, you know, yeah, there's some truth to this, or this is truth. And I think your soul, your higher intelligence, whatever you want to call it, knew that this was part of the process, and that this had to happen in order for the work that you're doing now to take place. Otherwise, these kids, a lot of the youth that you speak to, a lot of the people that can relate with you because you've been through it. Otherwise, they might say, you don't know. Yeah, you can tell me, dream it, become it, do this. You haven't been what I've been through. You can relate with the underdog in a way that few can. And that's why your message and your story has been so powerful. I mean, 500,000 copies of your book have gotten out into the world, just your first book. And so think of the number of lives that have been changed just by taking their own lesson from your stories. Just an incredible individual. Tell me this, Richard. You know, we don't have a whole lot of time on the show, but I want to leave folks that are listening right now and that are watching with some key points or some key ideas they might be able to take away in their own life. And I'm sure just you as an individual, as a model, is an example and an inspiration. But are there some key ideas that you want to leave people with that are like burning in your heart right now that you want to get out?
I mean, I've got thousands of, well, not thousands. Look, I've got an amount of ideas, and I love speaking, I love sharing, and But I think my name is Richard McCann, and listen, here's another thing. My name is Richard McCann, and within my name there is I can. I in Richard and can in McCann, and I speak about having an I can attitude. Within the I can kind of framework, I have 4 key messages. The I is the importance of positivity and thinking in that positive way. It's not about what you can't do, it's about what you can do. Don't worry about what you can't do. Get some help with that. The C is courage creates success. I got on stage age 13 in the public speaking competition, despite being petrified. I did that, and it's not a coincidence that, you know, 25 years later, I'm one of the busiest speakers in the UK. I speak 200 times a year. There's some, you know, one of the things I share is we get these opportunities that come along every once in a while, windows of opportunity. We have to climb through them, not peer through them and wonder what might have been. The A is achievement begins with a goal. We don't achieve success by accident, by winging it, unless you're the 1 in a million. We achieve things by setting a goal and saying, this is what I want to do. Be it write a book, be it meet the person of my dreams, and this is what these are things I wanted to have. Be it become a speaker. I chose to become a speaker. I got an invitation to speak in 2005, petrified again, but I realised this is my calling. This is what I'm going to do, and I set it as a goal, and that's why I achieved it. And last of all, the N in I can is never give up. You know, nothing in life worth having is going to be given on a plate. You know, my first book, I sent off the proposal to 40 agents before I got one. I could have given up, I didn't.
I hear that again and again, the importance of that persistence and never giving up. So I want to re-express the 4 key ideas that you have here. The importance of positivity, courage that creates success, to basically break through fear. The achieve, it begins with a goal. And N, never give up. That is the I can. So positivity, courage, having a clear goal to achieve, and never giving up. And it sounds to me like this has been a major driver in your life, Richard.
Yeah. It has, and there is one extra bonus N, because there's 2 N's in McCann, and it's the need for action. You can have all the goals you want. If you don't take some action and do something about it, you're going to end up in the same place. You're going to end up anyway. So you've got to do some of these things. You've got to get on that stage. You've got to write the book proposal, whatever it may be.
And we hear this, and sometimes we don't do anything about it. And really, the major stumbling block has got to be the fear. And that's where the courage comes in, right, Richard? I mean, the fear of what may happen or what I may lose if I start taking action. And what you're saying here is not only can you do it, but you need to do it. This N here, I need to take action. Otherwise, who is missing out on what I could be creating and what I'm doing? Like, I'm thinking about you, Richard, and I'm thinking, what if you said I can't? All the people that you're influencing right now, you would have taken something away from them by just not taking action. And so I think there's an important lesson here too, in that, you know, not only is there a need for action on your side and what you might gain from it, but a need on the side of who you might serve that you're not currently serving.
Yeah, but for all of us, yeah.
For all of us, yeah, because we're all in this together. We're all on this piece of rock at this time in this place for a reason. And I think we do all have an impression on our soul that maybe we've forgotten as we get older, but that you remembered as a child and have continued to live throughout your life. And so, Richard, it's a real pleasure to have you on the Full Potential Show today. Please tell everybody where they can go and pick up your book and also learn more about this mission that you're on.
Well, I mean, if you want to Amazon, my first 2 books are available there now, but my third book, the I Can book, will be available from my own website, richardmccann.co.uk, mid-October. Not quite sure when this is going out. If it's in November, it'll be out right now. But, you know, richardmccann.co.uk, you can hear all about me, you can watch my videos, my podcasts and everything else. So it'd be a pleasure to hear from people in your neck of the woods.
Awesome. So that's richardmccann.co.uk. We'll put it up on the description and on the screen. That's richardmccann.co.uk. And by the time this interview comes out, it should be up on Amazon as well, which is by mid-October. Richard, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show, and I encourage everybody to take that little bit of I can with them and start pursuing what it is they might be holding themselves back from, because, Richard, the world would be at a loss without your light and getting your message out there. So I really appreciate what you're doing and support, and just letting you know that I'll help you in any way I can. Just reach out to me and let me know.
James, I don't know what happened there, but you stopped speaking and it got stuck there. So I heard you say something about take a bit of I can with you, but then I lost you there for about 15 seconds.
All right, I'll re-say it all. It was my words of wisdom. But I'll just re-express it to you, my friend, because I lost you. I think it's the internet here. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it seems to be going slower for some reason, but we're okay. Keep going.
Okay. So I just wanted to say, Richard, you know, I hope everybody will take a little bit of I can with them, because I can't imagine what the world would have been like without you saying I can and spreading your light and your message with the world. So many people would be deprived of the lessons that you've been able to help share and the positive message that you're spreading. So I encourage and admire and appreciate what you're doing for everybody, and I hope that, you know, the majority, I hope everybody, but definitely I hope the majority who's listening and watching right now is inspired to take the next step, say I can, and never give up. So thank you for that message, Richard. Really appreciate it.
Real pleasure, James, and a real pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for those wonderful words.
Thank you very much, Richard. And the other thing I said, too, was just let me know if there's any way I can help you get it out more in the world. I mean, this show is just one extension of what you're doing as a mission. So we'll let you know when it goes live. And if there's anything else I can help you do, just let me know, okay?
Okay, excellent.
All right, buddy. Well, it's been a pleasure.
That I had as a child, one of those visions that I had as a child was to share my message around the world, and this is one of those examples. So I really thank you for that.
Awesome. No, you are an example, Richard. I appreciate it. And everybody who's watching and listening right now, I encourage you to go check out Richard's website, richardmccann.co.uk. We'll put it up on the screen. And also, be sure and like and subscribe the Full Potential Show so that you can get more great insights from luminaries like Richard McCann and freebies that you only find right here on the Full Potential Show. Thank you again, Richard.
My pleasure.
Take care.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like the Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you know you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.